Hello students. Today we are going to start Supplementary First, The Lost Child by Mulk Rajanand from the Moments textbook. The Lost Child is the story of a small child who gets lost in a fair. He had gone with his parents to the fair but loses them when he gets engrossed in looking at the roundabout swing. The story highlights the bond of love and affection that the child shares with his parents. Before losing them, he had been demanding different things like sweets, balloons, flowers, swings, etc. Once he loses them, he is picked up by a stranger. The stranger tries to quieten the child by offering him all those things that he had demanded from his parents. But the child does not want them anymore. He wants his parents first. Brimming over means to be full of something. The story is set in the spring season. As the winter season had just ended, all the people came out of their houses. They were cheerful as the chilling cold weather had ended. People conveyed through different modes: foot, horses, bamboo carts, and bullock carts. A little child was accompanied by his parents. He ran excitedly and often banged into his father's legs. He was full of life, excitement, and laughter. Lagged behind means was left behind. Fascinated by means attracted to. Suppress means put an end to. The child was attracted to the toys which were displayed at the various stalls. As he would be left behind, his parents would call him to come with them. The child was obedient and would walk towards them on being called, but his eyes would keep on looking at the toys that he wanted. As he reached to them, he couldn't control his desire to buy a toy. He was familiar to the reaction that they would give. He knew that they would stare him, indicating denial to buy him the toy. The child knew the emotionless way in which they would stare at him. The child was unable to control his desire any longer. He said that he wanted to buy the toy. Tyrant means a cruel ruler. The father's eyes grew red with anger. He looked at the child just like a cruel ruler who was trying to oppress him. Melted means became tender and loving. The mother became emotional due to the cheerful mood. Lovingly, she gave her finger to the child to hold and guided him to a place. She asked him to see what was in front of him. Pale means dull and gaudy means extremely bright. There was a vast field full of bright yellow mustard flowers. They seemed like flowing streams of gold and were widespread. A group of dragonflies, black bees, and butterflies buzzed around, sucking the nectar from the flowers. The child looked at them as they flew around. When one of them sat somewhere, he tried to catch them, but the tiny creatures would fly away the next instant. The mother called out to him as they started walking down the footpath. Teeming out means empty out. The child ran towards his parents. He walked next to them, but after a few steps, he stopped to see the insects who were coming out of the soil. Once again, the child was left behind. Grove means a small wood or group of trees. The parents called him. They sat next to a well under the shady trees. The child once again ran and joined his parents. As the child entered the shady forested area, he was welcomed by a shower of flowers. He forgot his parents and started collecting the petals that had fallen. Just then he heard the cooing of doves and was excited to see them. He started chasing the birds, and in the process, the petals fell from his hand. This shows that as the child got attracted towards the next thing, he forgot what he had been doing earlier. The parents called the child, who was running and playing around a banyan tree. They lifted him and walked down a narrow, twisting lane through which they crossed the mustard fields and reached the fair. Throngs means huge crowd. Converging means gathering. As they were about to reach fair, the child saw a huge crowd of people walking from all directions towards the fair. The dense crowd scared him and he stepped back for a while. But the next moment, he got attracted to the mind-boggling crowd of humanity. Headed means paid attention to. At the entrance of the fair, to one corner, a sweetmeat seller had set up a shop. He was selling various sweets like gulab jamun, rasgulla, barfi and jalebi. The sweets were displayed at different heights and were covered with foils of gold and silver. The boy's mouth watered when he sighted his favorite barfi. He expressed his desire to get one in a low voice because he knew that his request would be refuted by his parents. They would say that he was greedy for the barfi. As he did not expect that his demand would be fulfilled, he walked further. The next stall was that of a flower seller. He announced that he was selling garlands of gulmohar flowers. The child wanted one of those. He walked towards the basket of flowers and again announced his desire to have one in a low voice because he knew that his demand would not be fulfilled. They would refuse to buy him the flowers as they would say that they were cheap. Again, the boy walked ahead without expecting a reply from his parents. The next thing that the child came across was a balloon seller, selling balloons of different colors of the rainbow. The boy was attracted to the shiny colors of the balloons and wanted to have them all. He knew that his parents would not buy the balloons for him, as they would reason that he was too old to play with them. So the child walked further. Forbidden means not allowed. Coarse means unpleasant. Then he paused at a snake charmer who was playing a flute, and the snake was twisting its neck to the music. The snake had coiled itself in a basket and had raised its head out. It bent and moved its neck gracefully like a swan. It seemed that the music of the flute was heard by the snake's invisible ears and created the effect of a waterfall on it because it swayed its neck in a similar way. The boy walked towards the snake charmer, but as his parents had warned him to remain away from the unpleasant music played by such men, he walked further. Then he saw the roundabout swing. It was full of men, women, and children who were enjoying the ride. The boy watched the people on the roundabout and then, with a lot of courage, expressed his desire to go on the roundabout. Thank you.